Thanks for watching Hunting God's Country. I'm Jason, and this video is going to be the first video of 25 days straight of a new video. So make sure you check back every single day, 3 p.m. Eastern, new video every day, December 1st through December 25th. Today we're going to talk about a super exciting story that I've been asked about a bunch of times. This is my kayak bass fishing story, and it's not at all what you think it is, so make sure you stick with me all the way to the end, because this is going to be enlightening. It's a crazy story. So thanks for being here again. Let's jump right into it. So this happened in June of 2023. It's been a little over a year ago now, and it was not at all what I had expected to happen, but I'm going to tell you, it's something I'll never forget and something you'll never forget after you hear this story. So my friend Travis wanted me to go to a tournament with him, fishing from kayaks, and I don't own a kayak. If you follow us at all, you know that I have a 2022 Bass Tracker, TXW 195 19-footer. I love the boat. I fish from a boat. I stand on the deck, it's flat, it's comfortable, and I'm balanced. And I've never fished from a kayak before this, and I thought, I don't know that I want to, but, you know, after he asked 2 or 3 times, I said, what the heck? Let's give it a whirl. I will do it. I'll join this tournament, and we'll go up to the Saginaw Bay in Michigan, and we'll do some bass fishing from a kayak. I was excited, yet not overly, because I'd never fished out of a kayak. So, leading up to it, I'll preface it with this. Friday night, so the tournament's on a Saturday, right? It goes from 6 a.m. until 2 p.m. So it's an 8-hour long tournament. And modern technology today, there's fishers all over the place, right? Fishermen everywhere, and all you have to do is, when you catch a fish, you put it on your bump board, and the bump board's obviously got the inches measurements on it, right? So you take a picture of it, they give you this little tag that's got your name and your like account number on it, and you use an app on the phone. So you take a picture, boom, enter, it gets registered, recorded, and it's also time stamped. So that prevents any opportunity for cheating, etc. Really neat opportunity for how this works, but it was all new to me. Well, Friday night we take off and go up to meet with Travis's brother, who had gotten a little bed and breakfast thing, Verbo, I don't know what it was, but you know, he rented this house for the night for a bunch of us to stay in, so that we would be real close by to where we were going to go fishing first thing in the morning. We got there a little bit late. It was dark by the time we got there, and we proceeded to do what guys do the night before the fishing tournament, and we did not go to sleep immediately. There may have been some adult beverages involved, and you know, guys just being guys. So got to bed a little bit later than we had intended, with an estimated wake up of 3:30 in the morning, because we still had about a 45-minute to an hour drive to the area that we were going to head to in order to get to where we thought we would have the best luck and have a chance at winning the tournament. So I have to tell you, we had a gentleman in the room, the one room that Travis and I stayed in. We had another gentleman in there whose snoring could have awakened an entire forest of creatures had he been outdoors. Needless to say, my sleep was limited to probably a couple of hours total, in 10 to 15 minute increments throughout the 4 hours that I was actually in the bed. So, got up early in the mornings anyway. Saturday morning, got up early. Got everything loaded back up, jumped in the truck, and we're headed off to a special secret place that we had been made aware of, so that we could go out and slay these bass, right? And any bass was good for the tournament. Largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, both good to go. And of course, in the Great Lakes, we're fishing in Lake Huron, and there's lots of both. So we get out there, get unloaded. Fishing, you're not allowed to, you know, it doesn't start till 6 a.m., but here we are, 5:30 in the morning, we've got the kayaks in the water, and we're pedaling out through this channel that goes out and opens up into the bay. So we get out there, we're out on the bay, waiting for the clock to tick. Boom, 6 o'clock hits. All right, let's start fishing. Well, every single hour whoever catches the biggest fish in the tournament gets a special a trophy, not trophy, but a gift. They win a prize, right, every hour. And that prize was $100 for every hour for the biggest bass caught during that hour, which was, you know, separate from who's going to win the tournament at the end of the day. But every hour there was a prize for the biggest bass. So I am stoked, right? I'm out there. I got my 3 fishing rods with me, and I'm fishing. Clock's ticking. I keep checking. 6:30, 6:45, still no fish. 7 o'clock rolls around. The first hour is gone. I have not yet caught a fish. Well, I thought, okay, I need to change my tactics here a little bit because I'm not catching anything. So I'm going to find some different water. And I had a little fish finder. I was borrowing a kayak from Travis, and I had this fish finder, so I knew my depth. I was in about 7 feet of water. And what I would do, the way the wind was blowing in from the northwest, I would paddle out into the deeper water and then just drift back in across a couple of rows of weed beds and get into the shallows, and then I would go back out again. Well, I decided to go out a little bit further this time since I hadn't yet caught a fish, so I got out to where I was in about 9.5 feet of water. And boom, I caught a fish. I was so excited. I bring in this largemouth, and it's 13.5 inches. That'd be 14 inches to be legal, so all right, I caught a fish, but I can't keep it, can't score it. Get that one put back in the water. Immediately cast out, catch another one. Well, I'm not sure if it was the same fish or not, but it was another 13.5 inch largemouth bass. Well, and as I'm drifting through, I start casting. I picked a different lure. I went with a little square bill, and I caught a walleye. I was so excited. I'm like, oh, cool, I got a walleye. Well, it's a bass tournament, not a walleye tournament. So, you know, I guess at this point, fun. I took a picture, put it back in the water, and I cast out again, and I catch a pike. Well, I bring this pike all the way up to the boat, and didn't really want to mess with it too much. It was a pretty good sized pike, so I just took my pliers, reached down there, got the lure out of his mouth, and off away he went. Cast one more time, catch another walleye. I'm thinking, well, this would be a fantastic walleye tournament, but it's a bass tournament. So I now have 2 largemouth bass that are too small to count. I've now caught 2 walleye and a pike. So I've got 5 fish in the boat and absolutely nothing I can score. So we're rolling on. It's after 8 o'clock. It's probably, I think it was close to 8:30. And at this point, I'm thinking, man, am I even going to catch anything that I can score? Well, Travis had got with me, and he was fishing in a different spot, and he came over, talked to me for a little bit, and we decided what we were going to do. So I thought, okay, I did well out in that deep water. I'm going to go back out to the deep water, which I know 9 feet's not real deep, but it is when you're in a kayak in the great big Saginaw Bay. So to me, it was deep water, right? So Travis headed off to a different spot, a new spot to try, and he had already caught a few fish, and I went back out to the deep water. Well, I cast it out, and I was using a wacky worm because my intention was to catch bass, and I know pike like the wacky, but I really wanted a bass. So I hooked into something, and I thought, oh my goodness, this is awesome. Good fish, fighting like crazy, and it wasn't going sideways like a pike, it was going down, and I thought, all right, this is going to be a good bass. So I'm cranking and reeling, and I finally get it up close to the boat, and I see beautiful smallmouth, just absolutely gorgeous. Well, I get him up, get him around the side of the boat, and I think I went a little bit too fast. But the night before, I had realized that I didn't pack all of the things that I needed. And so Travis and I stopped by a sporting goods store on our way out to meet with his brother and the gang for the night. And I had just bought a brand new net. Just a little handheld, you know, short handle, 20-inch handle, 18-inch, whatever they are. And I had that in the little holder right behind my seat. So I get this fish up next to the boat, and I can see it's a really good fish. Mind you, once again, I had never fished from a kayak before. So the first couple of fish that I caught in the day, I just pulled up into the kayak with my rod and didn't worry about trying to net them. But this was a great big beautiful smallmouth that was going to be one that I could record and actually get on the board in the tournament. So I grabbed that net from behind me, and as I'm holding my rod up, holding the fish next to the boat, and I went to net him, I apparently let loose on my rod a little bit, or whatever, and the fish started to swim out, and just naturally, instinctively, I leaned out to net him, and guess what happened? Yep, the whole kayak rolled, the fish was in the net, down I went in the water, and flipped the kayak over. Now, I was wearing cargo pants. My cargo pants I had my phone in the right hand pocket, I had a bunch of other stuff in the left pocket, I had my wallet in my pocket. I wasn't planning to go swimming. That was never part of the plan. The only thing I was planning to do was catch fish, and I did not. When I'm in my boat and I reach out to net a fish, I don't fall in. I was not expecting, it just took me by surprise. I did not expect this kayak to flip over. And it was a borrowed kayak at that. So, you know, my unfamiliarity with it was my own demise for this. So anyway, here we go. I'm upside down in the water. I have brand new glasses on that I had had for about 2 months. And the first thing I see is my glasses slide off my face, and they're just sinking. They're going down Lake Huron. Well, forget the glasses, right? My hat, which I'm not wearing right now, in fact, it's out in the other room, but my absolute favorite hat that you've seen in so many of my other videos, right? My camouflage cowboy hat, I had that on, and I saw that starting to sink, and I was not going to let that get away. So I stuck my toe out and I hooked it. I was able to grab my hat, and I got my hat back. So I had just bought this brand new net the night before, and I had let go of that, and I see the net falling in the water. And I'm freaking out. I'm like, what just happened? Why am I in the water? I'm submerged. I went under. I didn't even know what happened. Well, then I see one of my rods floating down. One of my fishing poles is sinking. I had 3 fishing poles with me. The one in my hand that I still had the fish hooked on. I never let go of that. I never lost the fish. I'm holding on to the fish, and my other pole is sinking down into the water. And then I look up and I realize that with this 11, 12 mile an hour wind we've got going, the kayak is now starting to float away from me. And I thought, oh crap, forget everything else. I need to get to the kayak. I need to make sure I secure that, and I need to get myself back into the kayak. Luckily it was warm-ish. I mean, it was like 65 degrees, so, you know, I wasn't freezing, no hypothermia issues, nothing like that, but I was soaked, head to toe, completely submerged, shoes, socks, all my clothes, my phone, everything, right? I'm beside myself at this point, and then I realize it hits me, don't let go of the fish, right? What's most important here, right? Getting this fish. So I still got my rod in my hand, I'm still holding on to this fish, and now I'm trying to figure out how am I going to get back to this kayak. As everything else is sinking. Now, I had borrowed a bump board from Travis, and that was sinking in the water. Everything that was on the deck of the kayak when it flipped over, that's all sinking. I lost a couple of lures. Anyway, I get over to the kayak. I swim over to it with one arm, you know, doggy paddling, kind of holding on to that rod because I wasn't going to let that fish go. And I got over to the kayak, and I'm trying to figure out how am I going to get this thing flipped over? How do I get this kayak back upright? Well, I'm pushing and pushing and pushing, and it's just sliding in the water. You know, it didn't want to flip back over. So I ended up going to the other side of the kayak, and I kind of bounced up over top and grabbed the other side, and then just lifted and leaned back. And I brought that kayak back over, and I finally got the kayak uprighted. Well, now the kayak's full of water. All of the compartments in there where you store, like, you know, your life jacket, your rain gear, anything extra that you have, there's a couple of compartments, they're filling up with water. The kayak's a mess. The fish finder's making funny blinking things because it's just been submerged, and I don't think it's supposed to be. So I'm kind of distraught at this point. I'm like, what to do? Well, I'm definitely not letting go of the fish because this is what I'm here for. So this whole time I've still got my rod in my hand with this fish on it, right? Now I've got to figure out how am I going to get back up on the kayak. I can't touch the bottom. I'm still in about 7 feet of water. I'm 5'7". Kayak's up on top of the water. How am I going to make this work, right? So I'm thinking, what in the world is going on here. What a day this is. So I figured since we're drifting into the shallower water, I'm just going to hang out with this thing for a few minutes until I get to a point where I can reach. And finally got to a point where I could touch the bottom with my toes. And I'm like, all right. Well, I tried 2 times to get up on the kayak, and both times I tried to get up on it, the kayak just tipped back towards me and I wasn't happening. So I waited till I got a little shallower, and finally I was like, you know what? Forget all of these other efforts. I am going to do this old school. I'm going to hold my breath, go underwater, and I'm going to push myself up and jump up onto this thing. Well, that actually worked. I went down, I kicked myself up, and I got enough momentum to get up and grab onto the opposite side of the kayak and drag my upper body up onto it. And then I kind of just crawled up onto it. I had to flip the seat back up. I was able to get up back on the kayak, get up on the seat, and water's just draining from everything, right? From all my clothes, all my stuff. I look down and I see the third rod that I had with me. I had it tucked in down beside the seat. Somehow in the commotion of the flip, I managed to break the rod. This is like an $80 Fluger rod, but, you know, whatever. So I now have the one fishing pole still in my hand. By the way, after I flipped the kayak over upright, I stuck the pole in the little rod holder behind the seat. So the fish is still on, mind you, this whole time, right? This has taken at least 10 to 15 minutes at this point. The fish is still on the line, and I've got the rod stuck in there. I'm back up on top. Everything's dripping, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I am so messed up here. My wallet's soaked, right? Got everything in my wallet. Got cash getting wet. Credit card, driver's license, all that kind of stuff. Which no big deal; those can dry out. But just made a mess of everything. And my phone was in my other pocket. So I thought, oh man, what do I do now? I got to get this fish. I got to get this picture taken and get it on the app so that I can get credit for this fish that I caught, right? Obviously, that should have been the least of my worries at the time, but that was my only focus, was I got to get this fish registered. Well, I looked down and I realized I don't have my bump board anymore because it is somewhere in the bottom of the lake. Yep, it sunk when I flipped the kayak. So I pulled out my phone, and lo and behold, unbelievable, my phone was on and still looked like it worked. So I wiped it off on my wet clothes so I could kind of see the screen, and it was doing all kinds of funky things, but you know, whatever, I got it dried off enough. I called Travis and I said, hey, you're not going to believe this, but I just flipped the kayak. And guess what? He didn't believe me. He said, no way. You can't flip that kayak. That thing's way stable. No one's ever flipped that kayak. I said, well, I did. And I need your help. I need a bump board so I can get a picture of this thing. And he's like, wait, you're serious? You actually flipped the kayak? Yeah, I did. I actually flipped the kayak. I've got it back upright. I'm back up on it. Don't know how long my phone's going to work, but, you know, my phone's working right now, so I'm back over where we met earlier. I drifted back into that spot, so if you can get over here and help me out, I'd really appreciate it. He's like, oh man, you're serious. I said, yes, I'm totally serious, and I have a fish on here. So I need you to get over here so we can measure this fish and get a picture so I can get it entered. Okay, I'll be there in about 10 minutes. I'm a little bit away. So Travis gets over there. He gets over to me, and he is just laughing. He's like, what in the world did you do? How? Look at you. They're soaked. I'm like, I know, but I got this fish. So we get the fish pulled up. He gets his bump board out. He actually nets it and takes the fish into his kayak so he can put it on the bump board. And I'm fumbling to get... Now, they had given us 3 of these little tags with our name and account number on them to register. So by the time he got there, my phone had decided it didn't want to work anymore because, you know, it's soaked. It's loaded with water. I was in the water for 10 or 15 minutes. And so I said, just take a picture of it. Here's my card. Just take a picture of it, and then you can send it to me and get my phone working. Or I have a work phone, a separate company phone that's over in the truck. I'll just go to the truck and get that other phone. Well, after discussing it a little bit, it appeared as though we were both in consensus that it might seem like we somehow were cheating or something if he was to take a picture of my fish and then send me the picture and I sent it in. So anyway, we decided to scrap the whole thing, right? We didn't want to have any confusion or anyone thinking that we somehow were not going to, you know, we weren't playing by the rules or anything. So we did measure the fish. It was 18 inches, I believe, 18 and a half, something like that. And it was about 4 pounds, beautiful smallmouth. But we let him go. We put him back in the water so that he could go have a peaceful day, because he had just been through quite an ordeal with me and just being dragged around and on this, you know, he'd been in a net, out of a net, down the water, up around the kayak, me pulling on him, dragging him around. It was just craziness for a while. So now I'm up on here. We've decided to let the fish go. So now I have spent, I don't even know at this point, 35, 40 minutes at least, maybe 45 minutes, catching one fish, getting it to the kayak, flipping the kayak, finally netting the fish, measuring it, not getting an official picture to enter it. And now it's going on like 10 o'clock, 10:30 in the morning. And I don't have a fish yet recorded for this whole tournament. And I'm thinking, well, I'm guessing at this point I'm probably not going to win the tournament. And I am drenched all the way through. Socks, underwear, everything. You know, shoes wasted, all my clothes. I am just soaked to the bone. I've lost half my gear. I lost my brand new net. I lost Travis's bump board. I lost a couple of lures. I lost a fishing rod. I broke my other fishing rod. I only had one left in my hand that was still usable. And I am soaked to the bone. My fish finder's not working right. I got all these things going wrong. But you know what? I'm alive and well. I'm upright. I'm breathing. I'm totally fine. I'm not injured as far as I know. And the kayak's not injured. And all those other things are replaceable. So, loads of fun. It was so much fun getting to this point. And then, now is decision time. It's critical at this point. The tournament's half over. More than half over. And I don't yet have a fish. Also, my phone's not working. My other phone's in the truck back at the dock. And I have one set of clothes that I can put on, which were my dirty clothes from Friday, because I only brought one set of clean clothes to put on for the tournament for Saturday, because when the tournament was done, we're driving back home. I told Travis, I said, okay, you go fish, you go do your thing, go catch some fish, see if you can get something going, at least place in this tournament. I'm going to go back to the truck. I'm going to go get cleaned up, get dried off, put on my dry, dirty clothes from yesterday, and then I'm going to come back out. Well, I got up there, I got the kayak tied up to the dock, I got out, went to the truck, went to the little outhouse thing that they have there, you know, at the park, at the dock, and I got all my clothes changed. I didn't have a towel. I didn't bring a towel with me because there were towels available at the bed and breakfast that we stayed at the Verbo thing, so I didn't have a towel with me. So I actually used my raincoat as a towel and just kind of dried off as best I could. Put my dirty, dry clothes back on from Friday and got everything back together. Now I only had one pair of shoes and they were soaked. So I'm thinking, okay, do I even put my shoes back on? Or do I put on dry socks? I don't know. So I ended up going no socks and putting my wet shoes back on. Got back in the kayak and we were in a little channel, and I'll show you here. Give you a little drawing. So there's a little channel that goes out to the big bay, and it's about 8 or 10 feet wide, and it goes out and then it kind of goes like this, and this is Lake Huron up here. Wow, I cannot write sideways, and you probably can't read my writing, but this is Lake Huron. We are way down here, and the dock is right in here, and there's this little park here. Road comes in from out here, and so truck's parked here, and there's this little outhouse here. So anyway, I got back down to the kayak. I was tied up on the bottom side of the dock here, and I got back into my kayak and I headed out. And it's probably about 100 yards up here to get to the lake. Well, when I got up to the lake, I got into here and I thought, well, over here is where I was, this area, when I crashed, so I'm going to go left this time. Well, as I approached the mouth of this channel, it started to rain. Yep, started to rain. So now it's about noon. It's almost 12 o'clock. I got 2 hours left to catch a fish to record for this bass tournament, and I'm wearing the only dry clothes that I have, and it starts to rain. So now I have to make a decision. Do I go back and stay dry, or do I catch a fish so I can at least get something registered for this tournament? Well, the wind started blowing heavier. Probably had about 15, 18 mile an hour wind now. And so I'm pedaling, right? This kayak's got foot pedals. So I'm pedaling, and it doesn't feel like I'm going anywhere. And I look back behind me and I've gone about 20 feet maybe. So I'm like, you know what? Fish can swim. They're everywhere. I'm just going to fish right here. So I start fishing. The rain gets a little heavier, and then I hear a crack of thunder. And way off in the distance there's some lightning. And I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be enjoyable. I probably should get off the water. Well, I decided I'm going to give it 15 more minutes. I'm going to catch a fish. I'm going to get a fish, legal fish, bass, that I can register and at least get on the board for this tournament. Well, I didn't. I did not catch a fish. Nothing. Nothing whatsoever. I had 3 different lures left that I could use because everything else was somewhere out in Lake Huron from the flip over that I had. And I was like, well, I guess this just isn't my day. The rain was getting heavier and heavier and heavier. And I have on the only clothes that I can wear still. Even my raincoat was soaked because it was in the compartment in the front of the kayak and it got filled with water when I flipped it. So I head back. I called Travis. Now I had switched phones and I had to download the app on my other phone. I got that done, and then I called Travis from my other phone, and I said, hey, I am headed back to the truck. Good luck, keep fishing, do whatever you got to do, and I'll meet you at the truck when you're done. So I head back. I go back to the dock, get everything unloaded out of the kayak, get all my stuff back in the truck, and I get myself up to the truck, and at this point, my shirt is completely drenched. My pants are half wet. My socks, I had one dry pair of socks still that were in the truck, but my shoes were soaked. And I'm like, I guess today is just a washout. So I get all that stuff done. I get everything taken care of. I strip down. I'm sitting in the front seat of the truck with nothing but my pants on. I just had a pair of jeans on and no shoes, no socks, no shirt, no nothing. That was the only thing that was partially dry was the pair of pants I was wearing. Everything else was in a trash or a shopping bag in the back seat or in the back of the truck, literally dripping water. And my day was over. Well, I was only there for about maybe 15 minutes, and I get a message from Travis, hey, I'm coming in. Okay. So Travis had given up a little bit because of the weather. He decided it was time to come in, and he got back in. I went out and helped him get his kayak loaded. We got both kayaks loaded back up on the trailer and called his brother to see how they were doing. Couldn't get a hold of them. Left him a message, said, hey, we are done. Obviously, neither one of us is going to win. I never had a single fish that day to record. I did not register a single fish in that tournament. I think Travis had 2, maybe 3, but there were several guys fishing in a different area who were already, way up the board, had 7 or 8 fish on there, and were just kicking butt. So we knew that neither one of us was going to win an award of any sort, so we decided let's just head home. So we take off in the truck, and we're heading back to the west side of the state, back over to where my truck was, and after about half an hour down the road, I looked over, Travis was driving, and I looked over to him and I said, hey, we've passed about 20 of these Dollar Generals. You think maybe you could stop at the next one and I could buy a shirt? Because I don't even have a dry shirt to wear. So he says, absolutely, yeah, we'll do that. Well, guess what? There's a Dollar General every mile, right? Everywhere you go. For the next 15 miles, no Dollar Generals. But when we finally got back near the expressway, there was this big truck stop, Pilot truck stop. So I got in there and I found a shirt. I wore my wet raincoat into the store because, no shoes, no shirt, no service. So I had to cover myself up. Got in the store, bought a t-shirt, came out, got the t-shirt on, got warmed up, got dry a little bit, and turned on the seat heater, and I fell asleep for the rest of that trip. Oh, but what a day. I lost a nice fishing rod. I broke a fishing rod. I lost my brand new net. I lost Travis's bump board. I lost at least 3 lures. And I had the experience of a lifetime. It was so much fun. It was like the absolute best, worst thing that could happen. I caught 0. Well, I did catch 1 fish that could have been registered, but the way things worked out with the phone and all that, I just didn't do it. And so I ended up getting 116th place. That was a great tournament. I was not last. Somebody actually, there were more people behind me that were at 0. And I don't know how they do the rankings when you're 0. But I was 116th out of 123 fishermen that day. So I didn't lose. I'll call it a win. And I got a great experience on a kayak. And that was the last time I was in a kayak. And I'm not going to say it's the last time I'll ever be in one, but it's probably the last time I'll ever be in a kayak. So I'm going to continue fishing from my 2022 Bass Tracker Pro Team 195, and I love that boat. Thank you guys for listening to this story. I really appreciate you all. I love that you're here to support us. And remember, we're going to have a new video every day, 3 p.m., so make sure you if you like this video, hit that like button. And if you subscribe, hit that notification bell. And come back and check us out every single day from now until the 25th of December, all the way through Christmas. And we're gonna end on our Christmas special. Make sure you come back and watch us every day, 3 p.m. We're releasing a new video. So, in the meantime, shoot straight, catch big bass, keep the fire going. Thanks, guys.